So what does the trade deal mean for India? What does it mean for the United Kingdom? What about economic fugitives? And what about the Khalistani elements? Joining me on this special broadcast, Ambassador Yash Sinha, India's former High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. Ambassador Sinha, as always, a privilege having you on this show. Siddharth Zarabi, editor Business Today with me. Ambassador Sinha, your appreciation of the FTA and what it means for India.
I think it's a landmark agreement. I think certainly, given the tortured history of negotiations, I think the outcome is to be welcomed, should be welcomed by all. It's a very balanced deal. And let's not forget, this is India's first FTA with a G7 country. And even though the UK may not be our largest trade partner or among the top 10 trade partners, I'm sure this agreement would boost our bilateral trade significantly, and you have the numbers. So I think what is important is the spin-off benefits also. We go to negotiate on investments, and also I think as far as the EU is concerned, I'm not sure about the US, but certainly the EU, this could be a template for negotiations for an FTA and with other developed partners globally. So I think it's a very significant agreement, and I do hope, you mentioned economic offenders, I do hope that this visit of the Prime Minister to the UK will result in some action being taken, because let's be clear that at least one or two cases that you mentioned, I was there, the highest court in the UK had cleared the extradition, and then there was a legal hurdle that supposedly came in the way, and that legal hurdle appears not to have been overcome even today. So I think it's important because it's a political move. It's clearly the law had taken its course, and now there has to be a political judgment. And it's also a reputational, because the UK
Very
reputation
important point
is
you're
at stake,
making.
really.
Very important point you're making, and I'll come to these economic fugitives in just a moment, because I want to talk a little in detail about people like Vijay Mallya and Nirav Modi and the others. But Siddharth Zarabi, are there apprehensions? Because there are some groups that are saying, are farmers adequately protected? Is the dairy sector, their concerns adequately addressed in the free trade agreement?
Well, very clearly, and Gaurav, if we go by this template, and remember, this is the largest deal of its kind that we have signed, including during 11 years of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And remember, the other major difference, adding to the ambassador's point, is that unlike previous FTAs, which were with Asian economies, developing economies, this is a partnership with a developed nation. Therefore, our producers get access to a much higher value market, which is not the case. The ASEAN route, for example, being used to dump Chinese products in India. So those fares are not there. On the specific issue of agriculture or dairy, there are no concessions. Let me just take one example. There were fairs in Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh about apples. And what would happen. There are no concessions there. The concessions that we have extended on whiskey or on certain kinds of automobiles are at the higher end and will not impact a certain average kind of producer in the country. The market access that this provides us is very, very significant. And one quick point on the agriculture front, I have not seen in the past an instance of Indian agriculture produce being treated at the same level as European producers with regard to market access to the United Kingdom. That's a huge win. There's a huge win for our textile sector, which is massively employment oriented. We get a leg up over Bangladesh or in other products like footwear over Vietnam. So lots of things to unpack, but the big picture, this is the most ambitious deal that Prime Minister Modi has struck on the economic trade aspect. And if I take this as a pointer towards the United States, no concessions on agriculture or dairy can be expected even there.
Very pertinent point that you make there. So our farmers, our dairy producers, they have reason to feel reassured. But the point, Ambassador Sinha, that you hinted at, and now I want you to give us some more details, sir, on economic fugitives like Vijay Mallya or Nirav Modi and others. If I may, sir, The allegations were serious that they took loans from our banks, and instead of using those loans for their businesses here, some of that money was straight away diverted to buying plush homes in the English countryside. And that's just not permissible, because that's your money and mine. That's the taxpayers' money. Own banks, of course, there may have been collusion. But if that entire legal process has been carried out in the UK, and yet when we watch these videos of them partying in the UK with your money and mine, it hurts. So where is the roadblock? Is it a political roadblock? And do we see forward movement there?
Gaurav, it's clearly a political roadblock because we had the finest crown prosecutors on this case. And I recall in that one particular case where we won the case at every level, at every stage
Yes.
of appeal. So obviously we had excellent cooperation from the legal system within the United Kingdom. But the last step where the Home Secretary has to sign off, that was put off and delayed for whatever reasons. And I would call it political, not really legal. So I do hope, because I did mention that, increasingly the UK is getting a reputation of being a safe haven for economic offenders, fugitives of justice, not only from India, but from other countries, particularly those countries which were part of the empire at one point of time.
Yes.
So I think it is a reputational advantage for the UK to try and cooperate, because the track record of deportation or extradition has been abysmal as far as, and there are quite a few, offenders. I recall
Yes.
when Prime Minister Modi had gone during Chogam, he even told his interlocutor then that, you have a problem with the condition of our jails, but it's the same jails that you built, the British built, and imprisoned the father of our nation and other freedom fighters. And we have done a lot of improvements since. So surely these fugitives would be taken care of in the jails. And there would be, obviously, they're not going to get 5-star treatment, but still. So I think
Okay.
there is a political issue which needs to be addressed.
Political issue, because you can't be a comprehensive strategic partner, Siddharth, of India and then say Indian jails are not safe enough and our human rights will not permit. That just shows that you're looking down upon us, and that's no longer permitted. The last 30 seconds I have on this part of the show, Siddharth.
Well, honestly, I would say that the gains that can accrue to the ordinary Indian far outweigh some of the ticklish issues that we see. But very clearly, if you have a larger economic relationship, Gaurav, I would argue that in the future you will have even greater leverage over the United Kingdom political system to get such irritants out of the way. Economic heft will provide you strategic strength.
That's a very pertinent point you make. Ambassador Sinha and Siddharth, for joining me here on India Today. Many thanks.